We gonna do this EP a little different, man. This is a prospect watch. I think this may be the next great American heavyweight, right? We're in a time where, the heavyweight division is pretty much, ran by the UK guys, right? The boys at the top, Anthony Joshua, Tyson Fury, Alexander Usyk, right? The American heavyweights are few far in between. You got Deontay Wilder on the back end, right? And then you got Jared Anderson, who kind of took a little hit. We're hoping that he gets himself back together, right, gets his mind right, and he could be that heavyweight champ that, a lot of people thought that he could be, right? But I was watching this Zuffa boxing card tonight, right, and shout out his parents. They came through the stream as well. Really nice people. Shout out to them. But I was watching this Zuffa boxing card, right? And one fighter in particular jumped off the screen to me, right? And this fighter that you see, right, that you have been seeing, his name is Damazion Vanhouter. Damazion Vanhouter is 12-0 with 9 knockouts. He's on the 6-fight knockout win streak. And Damazion, they call him Mozzie. Mozzie is only 21 years old, so understand he is very early in his pro career. So he doesn't have the most extensive resume, but what he does have, right, is an ever-improving resume. And by that, what I mean is in his last fight, he took on Rafael Murphy. Now, Rafael Murphy has double the fights that Vanhouter had. Vanhouter still stopped him in the first round. Damazion Vanhouter is a 6'2", 77 and a half arm reach American heavyweight. He's currently 21 years old. And the things that he's doing at only 21 years old are things that you don't see happen, every day. Now, he has 12 fights and 9 KOs. A lot of those fights, that went the distance were earlier in his career. He's still finding his way. But again, like I stated earlier, in his last 6 fights, he has 6 straight KOs. And most of those KOs are in the first round. So eventually, as he moves up, he's going to continue to up his competition, just like he did in his last fight versus Murphy, who you see over there in the corner, right? Murphy had double the fights that he had. He had 18 wins and 14 KOs and only 1 loss in his career. Murphy has 2 losses now. Vanhouter, like any prospect, like any 21-year-old, right? Like any fighter, he does have things that he needs to clean up, but you could see that when he decides to unleash his offense, when he decides to unleash his gifts, he's different, right? His power is different. With him only being 21 years old, he has a lot to learn. He has a lot of room to grow. And when I say that, I mean it as a compliment. You know what I mean? At only 21 years old, he is still mighty Clado, right? You know what I mean? And by that, I mean he's still Clado, like he's still being molded into what he's going to be. He has yet to even touch the surface of what I think that this young American heavyweight can be. And when I say that, I do think this is the next great American heavyweight. I'm not just saying that tongue-in-cheek. I truly believe, from what I have seen in his early career, the flashes that he has shown, that this very well could be the next great American heavyweight in Damazion Vanhouter, nickname Mozzie. And again, I believe Mozzie is just starting. When I say just starting, I mean literally just starting, only 10 fights in, 10, 12 fights in, right? Starting to touch his potential and what he could be. And while he is still really young in his career, even if you add up his amateur career and his professional career, he only had 8 fights as an amateur, right? 12 fights as a professional. So he's 20 fights into his fight career. So he's still really early, right? But even with the 20 fights into his career, I think he's showing massive improvements fight by fight. And I think he's giving, people like me hope that, there is still an American heavyweight, right, that could be champion again one day. Since we had that Deontay Wilder run, Deontay Wilder had a great run, and even before him, right, it was like we were looking for that great American heavyweight. He held us down, he spoiled us, but now he is on the back end of his career, and we're looking for that guy who's going to take that torch and stand on that mountain as the great American heavyweight. We thought it would be Big Baby Anderson. He's had his problems in the ring, out of the ring as well. We hope he get his self together so he can come back and be, what we thought that he would be. Also, there's another guy, a younger guy, a prospect named Joshua Edwards, who I think is another person that we should be on the lookout for. I've mentioned him a few times. And now we have Damazion Vanhouter, Mozzie Vanhouter, who I think, man, is going to be one hell of a fighter to watch, especially in the young American heavyweight circuit, especially with heavyweights being dominated by foreign heavyweights right now. The UK guys, they're dominating it right now. So we're, as an American, we're looking for that next great American heavyweight. And I think guys like Damazion Vanhouter give us hope. And I want to do my job. I want to do my due diligence, man, to, just to help get his name out there, necessarily not even get his name out there, but just to put his name in people's ears, right, to pay attention and watch, because I do think I see something special with him, especially with these last two fights, right. He's kind of starting to show what he has in that bag, and it looks a little different, right, from what you normally would see. The power that we have seen him display is like reckoning. Like when he decides to let his hands go, dangerous things happen. People cease to exist, right? They don't cease to exist, right? But they cease to function. They go to sleep when this guy decides to let his hands go. It's different. It's a different kind of power, and it's a different kind of athleticism, right? Once he's able to harness all of that talent, which only comes with experience and time, right? Again, he's young in his career. All right, so once he's able to, harness all that, keep growing and keep evolving, I do think this young guy is going to be a champion one day, as long as he stays the course and he keeps his head on straight. And again, I told you his mom and his pops came through the channel, right? So I do think he comes from a good upbringing. Those seem like really swell people. So I do think he's going to be able to keep his head on straight. And I think we're looking at the next great American heavyweight, man. I'm going to say his name again, Damazion Vanhouter, nicknamed Mozzie. He's going to be a problem. And I stamped that. Skin the Hardaway Southern T. This ain't the past, this ain't the future, but this the present. That's how we rocking. And I'm out. Love.